Let's work. Turn it down and listen to the experts. Gotta give a shout to the Talking Junk Network. Showing love, hosting battles, playing dope joints. The break room topics always staying on point. Never disappoint. We'll never need a makeover. We here for the takeover like Jehovah. Talking Junk break room takeover on the podcast. Dropping bomb facts on demand like Comcast. Now drop a comment whenever they're going live. Hit the YouTube channel right now and go subscribe. Peace.
Talking Junk Network,
where entertainment lives.
Welcome to Talking Junk.
I'm your host, Jason Melendez.
Live now every week.
Talking Junk.
A multitude of professionals in different aspects, different walks of life.
You have to come on and talk junk like a normal person.
Welcome to Talking Junk, the podcast that comes to you live every Tuesday night with a wonderful guest each week. Tonight is no exception. We have a great guest for you, and she has a wonderful story. So without further ado, Deanna Radulescu. How you doing tonight, my dear?
Good. How are you? That was some kind of intro. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We worked hard on that. The funny story around that, actually, we had another intro. It was another song and video, and it got the beat got stolen by Soulja Boy.
Oh no!
And we ended up changing beats.
Yeah. Well, I like it. I'm just like, yeah. I'm like sitting here smiling, just like getting into it. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Good. That's the reaction we're looking for with that.
All right. Cool. Well, thank you for having me.
No, thank you. The pleasure is all mine. We're glad to have you, and we're glad to partner up with the label free podcast and make this Talking Junk a label free episode.
There we go.
It's a little cliche for me to ask you this. However, I'm gonna ask you anyway because your story is amazing. There's elements in there that I didn't even know you would have went through when we touched on it in the back. So why don't you tell us a little bit about just who Deanna is?
You know, I've told the story so many times now, it doesn't even seem like it's impactful anymore, but I know that it is, and I can't ever lose sight of that because that's what has led me to where I am today, right? So I'm the oldest of five. I grew up in the Chicagoland area. My father was pretty abusive to my mother. He ended up leaving us, deadbeat dad, when I was about 15 years old. So it was me and my mom against the world. You know, like I worked 2 jobs in high school, like that story of like your great grandpa walking through the snow to get to work. Like that's what I did for my family. When I got out, when I graduated high school, I ended up I repeated the pattern. So unfortunately, as a young person, we are very much imprinted by what happens around us. And so I ended up getting into an abusive relationship, and I got introduced to like human trafficking, sex work by a boyfriend. And I got into drugs and, just kind of experienced that whole thing. Luckily, I was strong enough to find my way out of it. And I had met my late husband at 23. I think I was very young.
So sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I mean, I was with him for almost half my life when he passed. So that was a very huge life-changing experience for me. I was only 38 when he passed. So we lived the life, we had 5 businesses, multi-million-dollar, the mansion, the Ferrari, flew private, like all the things. I was the vice president of key accounts in business operations. I pretty much was running the whole show for the last couple of years that he was alive because he was very sick. And, I administered dialysis at home, like push him in the wheelchair through the airport with the freaking dialysis machine on my back, just, all the things, and I look back and I'm like, how did I do all of that? And unfortunately, he was still injecting because he was a big steroid user. I met him at the gym, and so he wouldn't stop injecting while he was on dialysis, and he really had given up on life. He needed his third kidney transplant, if that kind of paints the picture for you.
Right. I mean, after a certain amount of time and certain amount of pain, you just you want it to be over, unfortunately. And I work at a nursing home and I see it every day, so I understand, and I'm sorry you had to go through that.
It's all right. You know what? It kind of like paints the picture for moving forward.
Right.
You
New
know?
beginning, new life.
Yeah. I mean, I like to say it, as terrible it was to lose him, but he had no quality of life. He had given up. And I was lucky enough that I was young enough to kind of start over. Had I been in like my 60s, I think it would have been a different story. But I was approaching 40, and unfortunately though, I got involved with another abusive boyfriend. You would have thought after my younger years I would have learned my lesson, but I did not. And my old habits came back to haunt me, and that was really rough. And so I was actually single for 5 years after that last one before I started dating again, because it was just, I lost my husband, I got involved with another abusive boyfriend, and I was just like, oh my God, what is happening in my life? And so I just focused
Those
on,
are aces.
yeah,
That's what they are. You know what
yeah,
aces are?
no,
Adverse childhood experiences.
oh, that makes total sense.
Yeah, so it's a lot of. I'll shoot you some emails after. We'll exchange some information on that. But
Yeah,
there's a whole tree, so to speak, on aces and how they affect your adult life from back when you were a child. So that it could be an experience from when you stubbed your toe, and now every time you hear this song, you feel the pain again. You know what I mean? It all dredges itself back up, and sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't, and it
yeah,
comes the effect sometimes of mirroring relationships. So
yeah.
it's not your fault.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, I went through so much counseling. You would have thought that I would have known better, but whatever. That was a learning lesson all in itself.
Hey, we're human.
Yeah, that's for sure. That is our best quality, that we're human and we're alive, right?
Right.
We get to make those mistakes and learn from them again.
Right.
So during that time, I had a battle with the family because he had 4 daughters from a previous marriage, and it was a pretty lengthy battle legally. I had to have like 3 attorneys to get through it. And at the end of all that, I started my fashion label, which was a great experience. But I had just wanted to start so quickly, and I learned a lot of valuable lessons doing that. I invested a lot of money. I did 3 collections. I was on the runway in Rhode Island for Style Week. I was a finalist for the Cadillac Design Challenge here in Chicago. So I did some things, but you have to have deep pockets to get into fashion and actually make a name for yourself. So I
Oh
did
yeah.
3 collections, and then that was it. So, I dabbled in that. I had a skincare line with my mom that did very well until
Hey,
COVID hit.
some people can't even say they did that. So
Yeah.
pat yourself on the back.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was
No-
scary. Like putting your name out there. It's very scary. I'm sure with the podcast.
Right, right. Do you still have like some of your clothes in circulation, you think? Some
No,
people have no?
no. I have
Not
my
one
sample.
person will have anything of
Some,
yours?
yeah. No, some people might have. Yeah. Some people saw, because I did a Kickstarter in my first production run. People bought, they invested in my Kickstarter. So I made sure I fulfilled my orders from Kickstarter.
Okay. Okay, so there's people out there, and when you hit it big, those things are gonna be worth a lot of money.
Fingers crossed. I mean, who knows? You never know what the plan is from God, right? Like, we just got to keep putting our best foot forward and following what we feel our true purpose is.
Right. So how'd you end up podcasting?
So I did my last collection I did this huge event here in the Chicagoland area against human trafficking. And I like enlisted 6 other designers here. And I had about 350 people, raised $30,000. It was a huge event. So I did like that. That was my last bang in the fashion industry. So once that was done in June of 2019, I was like, what's next? I'm total type A. Always have to have like a lot of things going on. And so I got an email just randomly out of the blue after that was done, how to start a podcast for under $100, which you know that it takes a lot more than $100 to keep it going. But I read it and I was just like, you know what? I don't know who the F I think I am, but I'm going to start a podcast. And I start talking to my best friend. I talked to my cousin. I'm just like, well, this is my idea, because I had such a hard time stepping into my voice after my husband passed away, and my late husband passed away. And it was, you know, it was quite the journey to really kind of self promote and feel confident talking about the things that I was doing. So that was like another
I can
growth.
just imagine.
Yeah, totally. So that's how I got into podcasting.
Now tell us a little bit about Label Free. What are you what is your niche, so to speak? How, and was it hard for you to find that? Because I know when I wanted to start a podcast, I kept looking at all these categories and I'm like, yeah, you know, I like this, but I don't see myself talking about it every episode.
Yeah.
So I kind of went the way of unniching myself. How did you kind of tackle your niche?
So I know that that's what they recommend. If you're going to read all this stuff, like you have to know who your avatar is, who your target audience is. And like honestly, when I started, it was really just a passion project. It was about me overcoming the labels that I've put on myself, the labels that society put on me. Because when what really hit me hard was when I tried to start dating again. And I would tell people, or the gentleman that I was trying to date, like I'm a widow. And like it was like I was taboo, like don't touch her, how dare you try to date, you were married, and how dare you try to start your life over. And then like that just kind of put me into a tailspin, excuse me, thinking about all the different labels that people put on me, including myself. And so I was just like, I want to talk about my journey of overcoming those labels and other people's journeys of overcoming labels and them stepping into their true purpose. Because I feel like when people like forget about what society expects of them, they become so much greater than they ever think they can be. And
Right.
so,
You
I
shed
talk,
those strings.
yeah, I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, talk to a lot of authors, artists, coaches. There I've talked to some very like ex professional football players, a former like pro wrestler. I think he was like Brimstone. I'm not sure if you're familiar with who he is, but a lot of very successful people. And I feel very blessed by the people I talk today. Here's an example. Today I talked to a man who was stabbed in the throat, chest, and arm randomly in a movie theater when he was 21 years old in California by a homeless man that had schizophrenia. Now he has his own business. He's a coach called Superhuman CEO, and he's thriving. Like just an amazing person. Who doesn't want to hear that story?
What I want to know is, what movie did he go see?
That I should have asked him that. I was just like, wait a second, where were you? What kind of people are you hanging out? Like, how did this happen?
Wow, that's incredible. And
I know.
it's scary because that's one of the main things that I use as a hobby for my kids. We go out and we watch a couple movies, but that just to think about that, it's
Yeah.
it's insane. Is that your favorite obscure story that you have from your
No,
podcast?
there's so many stories. I mean, I talked to another man today out of New York, and he is like he's a musician. So he's traveled the world playing jazz and creating music, and he's a composer. He went to school like for classical music, and now he's got a non-for-profit called Jazz for Peace. And so he's really trying to impact the world and push peace with his music, which was beautiful. He even played like a song for me on the show today. Then I had another lady who was in corporate her whole life, never had a degree. She went to school for 3 years, became an executive in like Procter and Gamble, Starbucks, all these big name companies without having a degree. Now is the co-founder of a software that supports organizations in the construction industry to help them with their purchasing power. And it's like her, I mean, right there, that's a great story, especially for women.
Oh, so it's kind of like a direct supply.
Well, they have a list of suppliers, but they help streamline your process with purchasing your supplies, and
Right.
cuts down your time for efficiency and really actually and your labor costs, and adds like to your profit margin. So not creating efficiency, increasing your profit margin, and just offering a great resource that's going to give you a huge ROI on your projects if you're in construction, which I'm not. But I love the fact that she's a woman, knows what she's talking about, and in construction, because that's not like an industry that a lot of women thrive in. There's like 6%, she said, of women that are in that industry.
Right. Like I said, I work in a nursing home, and that concept is used in the ordering system that we use. So
Oh, okay.
it's amazing. It takes different companies and puts them in one place, so you can search everybody's inventory at once,
Yeah.
buy what you want, pay one time, and everybody sends you what you need.
Yeah, that's very similar. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I was just blown away by her story and the fact that she doesn't have a degree and she still managed to reach an executive level at like the like some of the world's largest companies.
Right. And you know who else was able to reach executive levels coming from the bottom? Our sponsors.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, tell us about your sponsors.
Oh, here it comes.
Me and my team, whenever we link up, they're gonna be drink up. We still gonna relax and have few glasses when there's things to think about. Like I'm nice with the boss when I tend to the bars, when I'm not talking drink ups. So tell the bartender that tended the bar to please pass me a big cup up. And tell that waitress is waiting on us to put a little ice in it. Now watch the ice become weightless like the spaceships that I be sitting in. No wait and listen, no, they're waiting for that tropical twist that'll tickle your taste buds. Now taste some. Yo, I insist it's the drizzle.
Welcome back. In case you just joined us, why are you late? And we're here with the host of the Label Free podcast. But before we get back to the conversation, we do have one more sponsor. Syrup. It is syrup for your cereal. They come in a variety of flavors, and the best thing about it is edible. Duh, because you use it for your cereal. So I use it for my alcoholic beverages. Cinnamon toast, haven't used that one yet. Banana cream and strawberry. These are the flavors that I got in the sample pack. Go to syrup.com or look for supermarket near you. Now, Deanna, I'm sorry about that. You gotta let the sponsors fly a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, where were we? You were telling us a little bit about the characters you have on your podcast and the amount of inspirational stories that you've encountered.
Yeah.
I believe you were just telling us about. Oof. See, my memory is shot.
All right. She's the COO and co-founder of DigiBuild, which is a construction supplier database.
Right. Direct
Yeah.
supplying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she was just like that. That was just from today, but I've had so many. There was one gentleman who went from gangbanging to becoming a doctor in the Bronx, and he actually, or was it Brooklyn? I'm not sure, but he actually was planning a retaliation homicide, and had an aha moment. And he talks about the importance of having mentors in your life, because Like that's how he's been able to obtain his success, and he's reached over 4 million people with his mentorship. He was just amazing. Like his story was so great. I mean, people are just they have no idea what they are capable of when they know that anything, it's unlimited. Like the sky is, like the world is your oyster. The sky is the limit. I think I need a cocktail now after watching that. I'm just like, okay, it's about that time. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you got to get you some Dizzle. It hits the spot every time.
I'm not ready to party. I'm like, all right, let's go.
It's always a party over here on Talking Junk.
I like it. I like it.
Now, how often do you record or do you do it live?
I don't do it live. So that's why I very rarely do live shows, but for me, I record like every day, all day long, depending on my schedule. I release Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, my regular show, but my co-host / booking manager, she does the intro calls, and we have started recording those calls because of her conversations are so impactful. And we've just released her third episode called Behind the Labels, and we redact the names because some of the information is very sensitive, and like a lot of the guests don't want people to know who they are. And so that is a new segment of our show that we have just started releasing.
Sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
I need to take a deep dive into your archives and see what I can dig up there. What has been the biggest obstacle for you as a podcaster? Because I believe you mentioned backstage that you do this full time now, so
Yes.
it's what's paying your bills and keeping up with your lifestyle. So how hard was it to get to where you're at? What was your biggest obstacle?
Well, I think the biggest obstacle was my self-doubt, to be honest. I mean, if you want to do something, you believe in what you're doing, and you feel like that's where you're supposed to be, you're going to find a way. As I had said, I had a previous partnership that actually was fairly lucrative. I mean, it was here and there, but I have different levels of marketing options for my guests that they can upgrade when they record when they want to be a guest on my show. And because I've built up my platforms, my networks all over, on social media, my email list, I offer different things for them to take advantage of my networks. And so because of that, it pushes them out earlier on my production schedule. It gets them featured in my newsletter, gets them featured on my social media. And, I know a lot of my guests walk away from the show with business. So I've been able to scale to a point where, I mean, we're not rolling in the dough, right? But we are getting close to, reaching that next level by some of the things that we're doing. So, it has been a journey, and, I actually got my last corporate job was last year in February. I was in sales for SaaS, tech and technology, or IT, whatever you want to call it. And it was probably the biggest blessing that I ever had, because it allowed me to really focus and kind of put some of these things in place to help me grow this podcast like business that I have.
That's awesome. And you said you're not rolling in the dough, you're not Scrooge McDuck in it right now, but any time you can profit off of your podcast is a win.
Yeah.
Just
Sure.
because of the terrain right now with just the way famous people have just taken over the podcast game, it's hard for the regular person, the regular Joe Schmo like me and you to make a buck. So consider yourself very, very successful,
What are you
no matter
talking
how
about? We're
much you
not
make.
just a regular Joe Schmo. We are like balling, man. We are someone to be recognized. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
wow.
We had a guest call us podcasting's best kept secret. And
There
we'll
you go.
take it. We'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I refuse to think like I am any less than any other celebrity out there, because I just don't believe in that celebrity dumb, because everybody, like, influencers are celebrities on Instagram. I mean, how
Right,
how
100%.
are we not like how are we not at the same level? We are. Like, I like, that's where I'm putting myself. That's it.
Right, and that's mostly where everything comes from. You have to kind of manifest where you want to be and
Yes,
speak it into existence.
that's right. We're speaking into existence right now. We're celebrities in the podcasting space.
That most definitely, most definitely. I had when I first started on TikTok, I had somebody come in there one day and said, "Hey, I'm your biggest fan," and I had to look around. I'm like, "Me? You're my biggest fan?
I love it.
Thank you, thank you." But where do you see yourself going from here? What's your next step?
My next step is we are going to be we're going to have a channel on Apple TV and Roku and then Netflix. So right now we're putting the moves in place to create our own channel, and then obviously I'd like to host other shows on there, and charge them a monthly fee to promote them on those channels. I've been approved to advertise on Hulu, so I'm putting all the things in place to kind of create something even bigger to reach a larger audience, obviously, because I feel like putting a positive message out there is very important, especially in today's world.
So Amazon and Roku got you too, huh?
Well, we're not there yet because it's actually pretty tedious to get that set up, but we're getting close.
I hear you. I hear you. I thought about it too. Last year I was going back and forth with them over it, and it's my wallet didn't
Yeah.
it didn't connect with what they wanted. So
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe next year, but
Or maybe you can just jump on with us. We'll host you and we'll just charge you a fee. That's what I
right.
want to do for podcasters that are creating video content, is to provide them that channel that they can actually get themselves out there that's more affordable, because it is costly. And so what I'm looking to do is get some grants, because there are grants out there for people like us that are in this media space, to get that to help set that up. So that's, I'm using my business savvy skills to take this to the next level with my team.
Well, I might have to contact you for a mentorship.
I would love to. I am a certified life coach, so I do have those coaching skills in there.
Now, how long have you been podcasting?
Since 2019, June
Since
of
2019.
Yeah, we're approaching 400 episodes.
All right.
Yeah.
And do you label yours like episode 1, episode 2, or
No,
is it just...
I don't. I know a lot of people do, but I don't. The only one I'm labeling is behind the labels, because it's a segment. So I'm trying to differentiate it from the regular episodes, because those are going to be subscription only moving forward. I did 3 that were for free. Now the new ones are going to be paid. People are going to have to subscribe to get that content.
Right, you got to taste, now you got to give me the money, bitches. Let's
Yeah.
go. You
Yeah.
want the content, you got to pay. I haven't worked up the nerve to start charging for my content yet.
We got to start somewhere. You have to believe in what you're putting out there. Not everything is going to be subscription based, but these episodes in particular are very intense, and people share some very sensitive things. And so, we put out 3 that were good. Now moving forward, if they want more to listen to these really impactful stories, they're going to have to pay for it.
Right. Now, when you eventually get your Roku and Amazon channels up and running, do you see you either switching to maybe live shows and doing it that way, or maybe upping production value and having your own talk show?
I think all of the above. Anything is possible. I never thought that I would be where I am today, but I'm just following my heart and what makes sense to me, and it has evolved into something bigger than myself. And I would love to have all those things, but I want it to still be with my message, right? And the message that is important, that the message that grew it to this point, and I think having my own talk show would be great, but that means really big sponsors that are going to want to really kind of have control over some of the content. So we'll see. I don't know if I want to be censored. I don't know if I want to be careful and be PC, because
100%. I understand, because whenever I want to say fuck, I want to say it. I don't want nobody telling me I'm stranglehold to the FCC's guidelines. I don't want to, when I want to say something outrageous,
yeah,
I want to be able to say it.
yeah.
So I understand completely. Now, I don't think Roku and Amazon really censor you too much, do they?
No, no, you just have your own channel. So you're just creating your own channel. And so whatever it is that you're going to have, I mean, they have R-rated movies. So it's not going to,
Right. They're
you
like, huh, see, as long as you pay me, I don't care what you say. See?
I mean, I'm not going to have an audience on there to begin with, but I'm going to have to build it up and send people to the channel that, like say, hey, we're on Apple TV, catch us on Apple TV or Roku, because everybody has their favorite platform to catch, to take in
Right.
content, right? So, I mean, it's going to be a growth period with those things regardless. And so we'll have to see where it takes us.
Wow. Now, Deanna, I know you're a very, very busy woman. You got a lot of things under your belt right now. We're grateful for having you. And before we let you go, we just want to give you the opportunity right now to tell the viewers where they can find all your stuff. We want to know where we can see Label Free.
Well, I am everywhere. You Google search me, I'm going to come up. I'm on all the things, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I'm a little late to TikTok, so we don't have a lot going on there, but we're building it up. And then obviously we're going to be on all the streaming audio platforms I'm on. So, we're everywhere. LinkedIn too. So if you are interested in finding me, Label Free Podcast, you can just type that into your Google search bar or Yahoo, and you will find me wherever you want.
Well, there you go. Ask Jeeves, go to Google, find that Label Free Podcast.
Ask Jeeves, is that still around?
I doubt it. I just aged myself.
That's all right.
Only certain viewers and listeners are gonna get that reference. If not, throw it in the Wayback Machine and figure out what it is. There's a Wayback Machine. If you don't know what a Wayback Machine is, you're too young to be watching this show. We love you. We can't wait till next week. Deanna, we're going to have to link up at some point in the future.
Yes.
We got to have you at least on another episode or maybe on our 2-hour show if you're
Oh boy,
if you're up.
I'm going to have some cocktails for that one.
We definitely have cocktails on that show.
I get very silly when I get little tipsy, so that'll be fun.
Yes, it will be. Sounds good to me. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. And always remember, if you're going to talk your junk, make sure you're living your life label free. Love you. Peace out.